my morning walk. I come out of the house. This is sort of a flower beds, hanging flowers, overgrown. The lilac is done. Margot likes begonias, so she and Scott planted a bunch of those. She likes to take one to the fair. I got both my Christmas decorations up and my Memorial Day, 4th of July flags, and Scott's been planting some, and Margot been planting some perennials in here. We're trying to get rid of annuals. There's the Winnabelle and Margot's scooter. I don't have a garage room for these cars anymore. I've got it all filled up with other stuff. This is my this is a flower bed that I think we're going to plant all into lupins. They do pretty good this year. They're pretty good. And there's the truck with the new back carry. I used that yesterday with birdhouses. Out in the distance is the Super C Farmall. In that shed there's a tractor, 4 lawnmowers, of which only one is working. There's the apple tree sprayer, reminding me that this week I got to spray apples. I decided that even though the buckets were washed for our maple syruping, I still needed to wash a bunch of lids that were in the shed. So I took them out and got started. This is using one of the old walkers and a tub for my wash stand. So I got that laid out. Maybe I'll get to that. On the picnic table is a bunch of Margot's indoor plants that were put outside. When I look at the house, I see that it needs scraping and painting on some areas yet. I've got a wren out singing today. The end of the driveway is a sign that says maple syrup here, and then the little stand on the right, serve yourself maple syrup. I'm going over into my junky place, my greenhouse, that I need to do some new roofing on. I got a scraggly blueberry plant here that has a few blueberries, but I moved most of them behind the garden, a water tank. These are apple trees, seedlings from two years ago. A couple more. These are the smaller ones. These are all lupins that I planted from seed. I'm going to move those over to the yard light post where the rest of the lupins are. Some, I think those are cucumbers. A couple of geraniums we trimmed some setting them out, so I made them as rooted cuttings. Some watermelons here. I don't know what those are anymore. I got sticks that tell me. A few tomatoes. They're not doing too good. That bucket had apple trees too, seedlings. I had it outside and the deer ate it off the top, but they're coming back pretty good. The plum tree over there is actually got quite a few plums on it. I got a real messy grape row there, but I put up a wire this year. See, it's sagging in the middle, and ran some of the grapevines up on there, and they're just getting ready to bloom. In the back are some more plum trees, row of pines. My field out behind, in about 2 weeks I hope to seed it into prairie seed. These are some apples we set out last year. Actually got 2 apples trees in there I got to plant out. Scott and I will plant out. The apple trees are really not doing good, but this one here actually has quite a few apples on it. But the big trees out there, the one in yellow transparent, an early one, has apples. Here's another apple seedling. But most of them are, these are semi-dwarf. Those are full-size trees. There's some thin tops where they're dying. Those are all different kind of maples. A silver maple on the big tall one, sort of an ornamental red maple, I don't know, ornamental maple. And I think that might be a sugar maple there. Well, there's an electric fence that's hooked up, which makes it so I can't mow in there without taking it down. But we put up the Margot's flowers out, and without an electric fence around them, the deer just eat everything. That's some more of the orchard. One time Dad had 125 apple trees here, big full-size one. The catalpas, we got several of those, they're just leafing out. Here's an apple tree that died. It's a semi-dwarf. Well, it hadn't quite died, but it sure doesn't look very good. Sometimes they'll recover from that, but for some reason had a bad winter. This is a plum that's essentially a wild one. It's got some plums on it, but the plums are small like a wild plum. Now we look over here into the sun. That's where I took a mower swath along the electric fence, trying to I have to make a couple more passes, trying to get the fence ready in case there's apples, but there isn't much apples on it at all. Across the road is 77 acres for sale, fields and some swamps and that. Here's one of my farm ponds here. Those apple trees, I mowed that yesterday. I haven't done the trimming. I do that with the weed whip. I just haven't got there yet. This is Evergreen Avenue. I like to walk from that corner down over the hill, the edge of our 40 acres. Our sign. The Hanson Farm, established in 1942. I put that up when Mom was alive. Everett routed it out. And Dad bought it in 1941. But he married Mom in 1942, so I thought, well, I'll put 1942, because by the time that seemed like a more reasonable thing to do. It included both of them. That apple tree in front here under the high line is just a crab apple. It has small apples on it. Good one for the birds. Probably 50 years ago, well, there's another catalpa. The big tall trees are black walnuts. There's 4 of them, probably 50 years old maybe or something. Mom got some nuts from Grandma's brother who lived in Iowa, and they had black walnut trees, so she brought some up and planted a few, and they came. This apple tree on the corner, Prairie Spy, is dying. The black walnuts kill everything around them. That grass out there, It's not, it was a hay farming field, but it's just grass now. Is quite pretty when the wind blows. Look, you could see the waves. Ditches are full of grass. Should have cows and let them eat it. That's a garden that I haven't planted. I think I'll put it into corn. Indian corn, popcorn, sweet corn. A raccoon's got to have something to eat. I have electric fence around, but right now it's disconnected and kind of hanging there. Part of the about 22 acres that in a couple weeks I'm going to put into prairie seed. Hopefully I'll get it to come. The steps are, let it come until the grass, weeds are coming up, show that the spray that the farmer used last year, which was atrazine and Roundup, is off the ground, so something will grow. The atrazine can carry over. And then once it's coming, I'm supposed to have the spray it with Roundup, killed all down, and then plant it with this prairie seed, which I'm going to mix with oats and broadcast seed it. And then maybe 3 years, well, I have to clip it once in a while, but then, especially with the oats the first year, but then in about 3 years it's supposed to be established some kind of, it's called pollinators and monarchs, but it's kind of like prairie with lots of flowers. I hope. See what it looks like. Maybe it'll look like this grassy fields over here. In there, most mornings I would hear the sandhill crane pair. They generally nest somewhere out in here, and then they have at least one young every year. I only seen one young one. Back in the back is a big old cottonwood that's dying. This is a test of this camera, and now I'm walking down the road, and it's supposed to have some kind of a stabilization thing, so we're going to see how. I'm trying to hold it still, but usually when you're walking you have the up and down thing. Farmers would want that to be into alfalfa. Pretty nice Sunday morning. The edge along the road, Scott and I planted, and Margot planted 2 rows of Siberian crabs, purely for little apples and for spring blooms. And a few of them are doing pretty good. Some die. They seem to be susceptible to fire blight. And I've got little fences around each one because the deer will wreck them up, eat them up. The deer trim up as high as they can reach on the other apples trees. Let's walk back up the driveway. Mom, that was all apple trees. Mom, there's probably 3-4 apple trees left. Mom planted these catalpas. Aunt Gladys had a catalpa tree, and she'd plant the seeds every year. And then she would give out the little seedlings, and so she gave Mom over several years 5 of these. I think Aunt Gladys must have been gone for 20 years now. She lived to be in her 90s, but she was quite a bit older. Probably born about 1910, so probably died in 2000. So then these seedlings were probably in the 1980s when she gave them to Mom. It's another odd-looking catalpa. In about the end of the month, they will be blooming quite spectacularly for about 3-4 days, and then they fall off, but they're quite pretty when they do. House is 1917. The barn is probably a little older, but I'm not sure. In 2017, we had an Amish crew in, put a brand new roof on the barn. The south end of the barn has all got metal on it, and the milk house. But I liked the idea of wood on this end. It wasn't too bad. I don't necessarily think I want to paint it. I kind of like the aged barn wood. In 1951, it was wood right to the ground, and the wood had kind of rotted out. So in 1951, Dad had these kind of bluish colored, they called them cinder blocks, concrete mixed with cinders from the railroad steam engines, and they made a little more air in the block that was a little more insulating. They thought made a better barn, or warmer barn. The upstairs of this used to be our granary, stored oats up there in bins, big bins. Then 2-car garage below. Then the 2 lean-tos were added on later. I added the one on the right, and Dad added the other one. Well, let's go in and see if this camera actually works, shall we? So that's an electric fence there. This has got electric too. This is a geranium. The 2 that have been, look like they've been eaten off. Huh. I don't think the deer can come in here. They may have been eaten off before we got them, hopefully. But he just bought them yesterday at the farmer's market, Scott did. We're trying to turn these things into trouble-free, work-free plantings. If you notice, the lilies are that way. They just take over and crowd out anything. So that's all right. On the side here of the house, it's we let the can't think of the name of them, take over bushes that have those big white hydrangeas, I suppose. Some perennials coming in there too. All right.